Hello. Welcome to the Breth Studio Spring Project. This is the closest we could come to having an actual recital in the spring of the year 2020. There are pluses and minuses to what we're doing with this presentation. The sad thing is that we aren't together in person. I hate the thought of people having to play without an audience. So the good thing is that there is an audience, and it may be way bigger than we ever had before, because you probably will be all over the world watching this as friends and family of these wonderful students. Another thing that I think is really difficult about this kind of a process is the following. It is possible when you are recording something to actually make it perfect. That is very enticing. Everybody wants to be perfect. On the road to perfection, though, is an awful lot of trial and error. And I know that some people have spent 5 hours or even more making these recordings for you. So thank you not only to the students for being so very, very into music that they would do this, but also for the parents who had to live through it all. This will be your reward. We are also sad because there won't be a party afterwards with delicious food for everybody and that crazy punch that everyone likes. So I hope you will celebrate wherever you are when you're finished watching these wonderful performances. I thought that a program of short pieces, or what we call miniatures, might sort of fit the season. I thought that it might be a time where small bits of beauty would be easier to learn, to process, and to perform than the much longer pieces that we're often presenting in situations like this. So I chose 3 groups of miniatures. One of them, the first one, is going to be played by elementary and middle schoolers. This is by the famous composer Peter Tchaikovsky. It was written in 1878 and dedicated to his favorite nephew. He made a few complaints about the nephew in a letter to his friend and said, "I don't know whether Bobik will ever be able to play these well, but I'm dedicating them to him anyway." So I guess Bobik was not a fantastic pianist. But Tchaikovsky's pieces are beautifully arranged for children. They use a lot of Russian folk songs. There are some Italian folk songs in there. They have very picturesque names like In an Old Russian Church, Sweet Dreams, Hobby Horse. There are several songs about a doll, and we are making a little swap at the end. Tchaikovsky originally wrote a waltz to be included in this, and we decided to branch out a little bit and cheat. We've got a waltz by Chopin, and that's the last one of this group. Everything else is by Tchaikovsky, but Albert is going to play a waltz by Chopin instead of by Tchaikovsky. The second group of pieces is also a set of pieces specifically written for children by the Russian composer Sergei Prokofiev. These were written in 1935. Prokofiev had left Russia after the revolution, and he was encouraged to come back by the government. And so he moved back with his Spanish-born wife to Moscow. At this time, it was considered essential, that composers write music for the masses. And Prokofiev had the probably very wise idea that focusing on writing some pieces for children might satisfy everybody. And we're fortunate that he did that, because this is a wonderful set of pieces. This also is full of wonderful titles. There's a tarantella, a very fast dance. There's a regrets, very sad one. There's a waltz here too. Wonderful piece about grasshoppers having a parade. Rain and the Rainbow. And the last piece that in the set is called The Moon Strolls in the Meadow. I've always loved that title. These are pieces, yes, written for children, but challenging for children as well. For one thing, they use the whole keyboard. And so in order to play, you have to be moving all around the keyboard. Even in the middle of a melody, you might play 3 notes of a melody in 1 octave and then move 8 notes higher to finish the melody. This is something, kind of a technique that Prokofiev used in a lot of his music. And it's very interesting. It keeps you alert all the time and watching and listening. But it's kind of challenging for the performer. The third set of our program is Opus 28 by Frédéric Chopin. This consists of 24 preludes. In the days when Chopin was living and working and composing in Paris, it was customary for performers to start out a program with a prelude, something that actually they improvised, which would precede the main piece of the program. A lot of times these preludes were not terribly, shall I say, sophisticated. They were improv. They were usually rather flashy. And it kind of served to get the audience warmed up. But Chopin had a little different idea in mind, and certainly he was thinking of the great predecessor, Johann Sebastian Bach, who wrote 24 preludes and fugues, and who arranged them in a certain key relationship. Chopin did the same for this, except he didn't write the fugues. He wrote only the preludes. The output of Chopin has a real range of style. People are very familiar with waltzes, mazurkas. Then there are the rather serious and deep nocturnes. We have big, exciting pieces like the ballades and the scherzos. The preludes are different from everything on that list. For one thing, they're short. Some of them will be over in less than a minute. They are very different, one to the next to the next. Some of them have that beautiful Chopin-esque melodic quality that we identify with. Others are stormy and almost difficult to listen to. They're very forward-thinking in terms of the harmonic development and even the way that he handles melody in many of these preludes. They weren't necessarily composed to be played all at once, but it's always an appeal to me to do this. And one of our performers today remembers about 8 years ago when we did a cycle also. So the way that we've arranged it this time is the following. One of our students, Santiago Lisa, was already working on the preludes as etudes. which is something that I often do with students because these are very, very challenging pieces. It might be only a page long or 2 pages long, but you better get yourself in gear if you're going to play those 2 pages. They require a lot of work. So Santiago, coincidentally, had already started on this project, and therefore he has kindly agreed to play a number of pieces more than the others. Then I asked the other high school students and adult students and alum students if they would like to pick 1 or 2 other pieces. And that is how our program came to be. I'm very happy to welcome Ashley Ondua and Brian Lay, who have been very familiar to you in the past. They're going to join us today along with 2 of our wonderful adult students, Ann Thompson-Cook and Ann Meyer. And then we have Annabelle Lee, who has many years of experience studying with me and currently works with my friend Silva Blasquez. Annabelle's still a member of the group class, and she was also kind enough to join us tonight. So that's our program. I hope that you'll love every bit of it, and I know that you'll appreciate what a beautiful spirit everyone has come together with to celebrate music in a very difficult time of all of our lives.